Hi, welcome. It's another episode of the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwao. It's always fun bringing you the show that accompanies the coverage of the AFCON and gives you all the great chit-chat, preview, reviews, everything in between, and of course, some in-depth analysis. You can send in your thoughts and comments on the number on your screen, 0550 585832, 0550 585832. We'll go through as many of your comments as possible between now and the next hour. Hashtag Citi Sports GHA, hashtag AFCON on Citi. We'll take a very snappy break. When we come back, I introduce my guests, we unbox the show, and we come live. And we go rolling as well. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. Let me introduce the guys. Fenty Tahiri is here. Daniel Cranton is also here. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
You guys look pumped and upset.
We are out of the AFCON, so that can be happy.
Yeah.
But we still have to live our lives, no?
I've moved on.
Thank
You've
you.
moved on.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
I have not completely moved on, but I'm getting there.
Okay. On the top
Some things happen. Some people said some things this morning.
It's okay. You relax. We'll get to that.
everything back.
All right. On the touch and on the number side of things, Susu Graham. Susu, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Are you also still upset?
Oh, I think, like I said, after a funeral, I move on. So you can see there's flowers on my shirt. Rebirth, regrowth. It's a new beginning. So we're ready for the rest of the AFCON. We're ready for a new era of the Black Stars, inshallah.
Okay. Hopefully. Inshallah. All right. Let's have a look at the results from the games that were played yesterday in the competition. 2 matches were played, all of it in Group D. Nigeria beating Guinea-Bissau by 2-0. And the Egyptians, they beat Sudan in what I call the Nile Derby. It was a singular goal from the Egyptians, Abdulmomen Mohamed. His goal ensuring that the Egyptians get 6 points out of 9 and Nigeria get 9 points out of 9. The only team to have done so there. There you have the group, the 2 teams qualifying there. And you've got Sudan on 1, Guinea-Bissau on 1 as well. So that's how the cookie crumbled in Group D. Let's start off with a game involving the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They won the AFCON the last time in 2013, and they are hoping to win it again. And it was a good start, Daniel. It was very interesting. I'm not interested, but the Super Eagles have had a very almost routine group stage. They've won all 3 games. The biggest one was against Egypt. They surmounted that one. They've gone on to win 2 other games. 3 games in all, 9 points, 100%. And it was another good performance yesterday.
Yeah, funny enough, it was yesterday's performance that impressed me the most.
Okay.
Why? Because they're already on 6 points. Most teams who have 6 out of 6 heading into their last game tend to relax a bit in that last game, be a bit slack. But you could tell from the body language of the Nigerians, their approach into the game, that they wanted the 3 points. They wanted to win and to win it with style. They wanted people to understand that the first 2 games were no fluke. They were in for business, and it showed in the way they played. At halftime, when it was goalless, you could tell they were very disturbed by the scoreline because they had done enough in the first half to get the lead. Guinea-Bissau themselves were good on the day. I think in the first half they were of course far better than they were in the second half. They allowed Nigeria to come back into it. It's almost like they conceded defeat once that first goal went in. But look, the Super Eagles attack especially is scary to deal with. They are not just quick, they are not just technically good. Physically too, they are very strong and very dominant. And it doesn't necessarily matter the personnel that is up there. We saw Umar coming in and scoring a goal yesterday. Simon, of course, was on good form yesterday. In the previous games, you saw Hianacho, you saw Awoyini. Anybody who is on the pitch and who's wearing that green and white jersey knows exactly what is needed from them when they are on the pitch, and they give it their all. I just hope we don't see one of those typical things that happens in tournaments where everybody's favorites in the group stage goes on to the round of 16 or the knockout rounds, and then it doesn't necessarily go as planned. I want Nigeria to continue this dominance in the knockout rounds, and they need to also understand that they are now the targets in the competition. Every team is now sitting down thinking about the possibility of facing Nigeria, and they would already have started watching their videos, watching them and trying to get the perfect antidote to this Austin Eguavon setup. So for Nigeria, they need to understand they are the targets, need to know that as the tournament progresses, the games are going to get even more difficult, especially in the round of 16. Now teams can decide to sit back and defend, knowing that you can take them to an extra time, knowing you can take the game to penalties where it's anybody's game. So, yes, it's a fantastic, perfect start to the competition in the group stage. 9 points out of 9. A good defensive record also. But the next step is now the round of 16, how they approach it and how can they go all the way. Because frankly speaking, in terms of what we've seen in the first round, they are the best team at the competition so far.
Friend, do you agree? Are the Nigerians the best team? And where do you think they can go from here? Daniel Kante raised a very legitimate fear. You have teams starting competitions well, then in one game everything crumbles. Do you sense that there are weaknesses to this Nigerian team? And if there are, where are those weaknesses? And if there aren't, how far can they go?
You know, I think they're an all-round very strong team, to be honest. Yesterday, they made 8 changes or so to their starting 11 from the previous game and still dismissed with relative comfort Guinea-Bissau. So I think that that is an indication of the depth in their squad. And to win competitions, you need that. You know, you can make that many changes and still go on to comfortably win in your last group game. We saw other people experiment with that, and it didn't go exactly as planned. And I'm talking about even one of the other strongest teams in this competition, Cameroon. They made a lot of changes to their squad in their final group game and ended up not winning.
But could they also be down to the opposition?
I mean, the opposition, no two scenarios are the same. So the only, I think the common denominator are the changes. The two teams can be the same, obviously. So, because the motivation for the changes are the same. You've qualified, you want to give other players the opportunity, and it doesn't really matter who you're coming up against. If your motivation is that you feel you're at a place where you can field other players, then absolutely, then we'll give you credit for making those changes. But you have to also take responsibility for the result. And for Nigeria, this was a big test of their squad depth, and they came out quite strongly. And I'm very happy for them. It's interesting to note that the last time Nigeria actually completed the group stages with maximum points, 9 out of 9, was in 2006. And guess who was in charge? Exactly. Not even in 2013, when they won the title, did they win their first 2-3 games or all their group stage matches. So something is working for this Nigeria team. I listened to the post-match press conference, and I listened to Kelechi Iheanacho as well. He said something significant. He said they found their identity. And you wonder, and sometimes when players say that, then you start to ask yourself...
So they didn't have one under Gernot Rohr? Because I thought Gernot Rohr,
that was his main criticism. They said the football was all over the place. He said nobody knew exactly what they were doing. Even Kelechi Iheanacho himself was one of those players that suffered under Gernot Rohr, because he was always being asked to play either in that number 10 role or on the bench. Whereas in this game, he's being played as the main striker.
But so it's kind of interesting you mentioned that, because it was Victor Osimhen rather who profited a lot.
Exactly.
So first it was Igalo, and then it was Osimhen.
And then, but the thing is, under Gernot Rohr, the football wasn't as pleasing as it is in this particular game. But I think the most important factor driving this Nigerian team, I think, is unity. Mm-hmm. They look like a squad of players that
get along very well.
Exactly, and there's a certain happiness about the squad. And trust me, any small activity that could lead to the release of endorphins is great for me. And happiness, mood is everything. They are very happy at the moment. And happiness is when you're happy, then
I cannot believe this. Man.
Please let me use my science. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very interesting way to put it.
It is, and endorphins are very good for mood. And good mood can lead to good performance. It is what it is. Your mood, and that's why everybody talk about motivation.
Yeah,
if you're happy, the happier you are, the better your performance. This is science. I'm not the one saying it.
Okay.
You know, and these Nigerians at the moment, they look like a real unit, a family. You know, if you look at even one of the players is running. It was Balogun who was running the YouTube channel, wasn't it? During the qualifiers, and these guys are keeping their own personal blogs and they're having all sorts of fun, and this is amazing. But like Daniel said, a tournament, sometimes the most just takes one match and kaput. But I think ideally, if we were to go as far as possible and meet Cameroon in the final, that would be an ideal situation.
Wow. That would be fun. It will be a repeat of the 2000 final that Cameroon won on penalties. So on the statistics in Nigeria, I remember that so well.
Nigerians could have found
if goal line technology was working, then that penalty should have
probably Victor Ikpeba should have been a bit more ruthless and should have celebrated the penalty he wasn't too sure of. Anyway, so on the number side, what are we looking at? The Super Eagles finishing 9 out of 9, 100%. They beat Guinea-Bissau. Are there any hidden stories the Malta I may have missed?
I just want to say, before I start my numbers, I think I should give it up to Fen. Since he's the science man, I think I'm not qualified to be here. But I'll do my best. So I wanted to focus on the last game and something that really stood out to me. The Nigerian possession is actually 52%. That's a slight error. So one thing that stood out for me is how well the Nigerians kept the ball. And you look at their passing accuracy in the final third. So it's not like they're just passing the ball at the back well. Wherever they are on the pitch, they are passing the ball well. And they're also creating chances. I know sometimes you talk about, like Daniel Kranzler say, noisy possession. Teams that keep the ball for the sake of keeping the ball. This is not a team that does that. They keep the ball well and they're creating chances. If you look at their goals, all their goals came in the 6-yard box. And they took their 3 best chances in the game. 3 chances in the 6-yard box. They scored 2 of them. And that's a team. They're creating good chances. They are passing well. They're difficult to get the ball off. I think they're going to be a very, very difficult team to play in the knockout stage because they have the 2 most dangerous things, chance creation and ball retention. When you can do those 2 things very well, you become a very hard team to beat. Man City is a prime example. You can't get the ball off Man City and they are creating bucket loads of chances. And in that situation, they will beat you. I also liked how they use the ball well, exactly. Like I said, they are shots in the box. I always like to harp on about this because there's no point shooting from 30 yards all the time. It's a low percentage chance. Get the ball into the box and give yourself a better chance of scoring. And Nigeria did that very well here. Sorry. So in their 16 shots, 9 came inside the box and 3 came inside the 6-yard box, 2 of which they scored. So that's very impressive for me. They kept the Guinea-Bissau team out of the. In the opposite, Guinea-Bissau only got 4 shots inside the box of their 10. So they kept Guinea-Bissau away from their goal. And that's how you can see why their XG is 2.5 and Guinea-Bissau's XG is 0.5. So like I said, Nigeria defend well, they attack well, they keep the ball well. They are doing their 3 basics right. So they'll be a very difficult team. And 9 out of 9, it shows that they have it down to the T.
I would love to know, for example, how the Nigerians are creating these opportunities. The passing combinations, because you mentioned 2 things that struck me. The ball retention, and when you are retaining the ball well, it stands to reason that probably your destroyers are doing a good job of getting the ball off the opponents. And so I'd love to see...
I think it's something Daniel highlighted
after the Egypt game. In fact, I went to do further research. I was chatting with one of our guys from Afrostat. And after the second group game, the Nigerian centre-back pairing of Omeru and Trustekong had one of the highest pass completion. And when it comes to Omeru, his forward passes are actually very accurate. So, like,
and who were his targets?
In the first game, he was going out wide to Moses Simon. And you can tell, I'm stating this just to highlight the fact that they've understood playing from the back, and they have personnel who can execute that philosophy. So you look at Omeru, he's good on the ball. You have Trustekong, he's not the best, but he's doing pretty decent in this competition. So most of the time, it's goalkeeper to Omeru, and then he spreads it out. You have the likes of Aribo, who is playing in a central role. Against Egypt, it was a 4-2-2-2, but he was the one who allowed the license to move forward. He can drop deep, very comfortable on the ball, fantastic footballing technical qualities he has. We all know Ndidi also has those qualities. Moses Simon out here, Chukwueze. So they have players who love to have the ball at feet, who are very comfortable with it, and it allows them with their philosophy when they are distributing. And I like the movement that they have especially the attacking department. You have players like Chukwueze who can go out wide. He can easily drift inside. He's very comfortable with it. Awoyini can come back and link up play. He has that strong presence when he drops deep. If the goalkeeper decides to go long, he can hold it up. Iheanacho also has similar qualities. And another thing I mentioned after the second game, when they beat Sudan, was the familiarity in the group. They've played together since under 17, the front four. The front three in Simon, Awoyini, and Kelechi Iheanacho. So they understand themselves. It makes it even easy for the coach to be able to issue out instructions, because these guys have been playing at youth level, under 17, under 20, and now they meet each other at the senior level. So that telepathy is there. Awoyini knows that when he drops deep, it's almost like a second nature to him. He knows where Simon is going to be. He knows where Iheanacho is going to be. So that link-up play makes it a bit easier. And I also like the link-up between their midfield and the attack. It's not like they are just creating all the opportunities from wide areas. Mm-hmm. I mentioned Aribo, who is very comfortable with the ball. He's calm. And they found a seamless way of easing John Obi Mikel out and bringing Aribo in. It's almost like John Obi Mikel was even there in the first place. That number 10 role he used to play for Nigeria. Aribo is doing it, and he's doing it brilliantly on the ball. So, look, they've ticked all the boxes, but it's just the group stages. I just hope that they're able to continue this fine vein of form. And honestly, I'm sitting here, I'm not necessarily thinking about Nigeria for the AFCON. I'm hoping, based on who they meet in the World Cup players, if they meet Ghana, of course, I want them to lose. But if they don't meet Ghana, I really want them to go on into that world stage, because I really tip the Super Eagles team to disturb a lot of teams, not just in Africa, but in the world too.
So just final question. When the NFF looks at this campaign, whatever happens, should they still... I think they've already made their mind as to who is replacing Gernot Rohr. How much pressure do you think will be on Rohr's replacement to keep this chemistry, keep this formula going? Or you expect him to also bring his own thing to this squad and possibly risk destroying, not destroying per se, but like just shaking a few tables here and there?
Yeah, to be fair, it's a really awkward situation.
Because the replacement is already at the AFCON.
And he's doing really well.
He's watching the games.
And here's the other thing as well. So the replacement is there. He's watching the AFCON. Yeah. The one that's been put in temporary charge is playing wonderful football. Yeah. He's achieving really great results. When you take over, he's technical director looking over your shoulder. I mean, this is that's really difficult. But yeah, I think if he's a very good man, and I say good in terms of his working relationship, then I think that he knows exactly where to find the solutions, because his boss has already shown him the way. Yeah. So all he has to do is just build on the template that Eguavoen has laid at this AFCON, even if they don't go on to win the trophy, and then build from there, because I think this is a good foundation to have. Yeah. The style of football they play now is really good. The personnel that have been deployed in the different positions they are, it seems to be getting the best out of every player. You don't need to change what isn't broken. So at the moment, if I were whoever it is they are bringing on, I've forgotten what his name is, I would definitely take over and then build from what Eguavoen is doing right now. And if he's not working, consult with Eguavoen, and that's why he's there. But even for the Nigerian Football Federation, they themselves will now be having second thoughts and thinking.
That's the thing. I don't necessarily think that's the case, and I'm happy you mentioned this or you asked this question, because it's almost like, in fact, this is what it is. Eguavoen is technical director. Yes. They sack Rohr. Eguavoen was very much involved in Gernot Rohr and in getting the new man in. Yes. So he's more or less telling the new man how Nigerian football is played. So I'm doing this for this tournament. When you come in, this is what you are going to do. And I'm very sure that during the interview process and things, they made him understand the sort of football they wanted to play.
That's the ideal situation, though. But the reality is that Eguavoen knew very little about the new man that came in. It's basically like how it works in Ghana. You know, so and the tensions are already there when you speak to the... I was having a chat with one of my Nigerian friends even before they came to this AFCON. They didn't think that the arrangement was exactly ideal, especially considering that Eguavoen wasn't massively involved in the hiring process of the new man that came in. But I think if both of them are wise and they can see the bigger picture,
they just
I think
allow
it makes
the
more
boat to
sense
drift
for them to
is.
come together and work together.
Okay.
Because the ideal situation is what Daniel describes. That's what should have happened. But that's not what actually happened. But he's here. And Guavon is showing him the way. Whether he likes it or not, he is showing him the way. And after that, it is easier for him to tell him that this is how we do it. Just build from here.
All right, the Nigerians, 9 out of 9. Perfect stuff they've done in the AFCON. Let's move on to the team that qualified together with Nigeria. 7-time winners, Egypt. And they won by a goal to nil. Mohamed Abdul Momen's goal, settling that encounter, giving them 6 points against their neighbors, Sudan. This was a Nile derby there. And no surprises there, I'm assuming. I'm sure everybody would have expected a bigger scoreline, but that didn't happen. The Egyptians have only scored, 2 goals in this competition so far, but it gets them into the round of 16.
That's 6 points. 2 goals is not the important thing. Both goals were winners. But yeah, to be honest, Sudan came into this game basically to sit deep and defend. Their strategy was very clear from the very start of the game. But that's where I think a lot of Egyptians are very disappointed. They haven't been very happy with the performance of the team. They're not getting the best out of Salah.
No wonder some threatening fighting Carlos Queiroz.
At all. And they are into the knockout stages, obviously. And we always say this when it comes to tournament football, and that's why a lot of Ghanaians are disappointed. You don't have to. Fine, even if you don't play well, just make it into the knockout phase. At the knockout phase, anything is possible. Egypt can play as horrible as they probably did in the group stages, get into the knockout phases, the draw favors them, they can find a path into the final. So I think they may not have been happy. What was Salah doing there? That was so disrespectful. He was. This is amazing. We need more of this. Look, he just. But like I was saying, they have to be happy that they made it into the knockout stages. They had a lot of opportunities like that one. Egypt. So they have yet to really find their rhythm in this game. And Carlos Queiroz is in a lot of trouble back home. Like he's facing a lot of heat. I was reading an article from Kim Foot. Yeah. The reporter was absolutely berating Carlos Queiroz and says that he's basically a pass to Mohamed Salah tactics that he's deployed from the first game up to the last game. And everyone has seen it. Everyone is marking Salah, so he's having very little impact.
I think it's the gift and curse of having a player like Mo Salah. Because as a manager, you almost get sucked into that subconscious thinking of always give the ball to Mo Salah and let him try and do it. Daniel, now that the Egyptians have qualified, how do you think they'll perceive the rest of the tournament? Will they try to fix a few issues, or it's so far as we keep winning and we stay alive, it's all well and good?
Look, if they don't change that tactic, they'll go out in the round of 16.
Wow.
And I'm talking about if they meet any decent team. Guinea-Bissau and Sudan are not necessarily going to test you in a competition. Nigeria were very good against Egypt, but they were not at their top or their best against Egypt. In fact, in the second half, they sort of relaxed a bit. But look, this is just not working for me. It's not working for me. You can't face a team like Sudan and then win just 1-0. It sounds very simplistic. But if you watch the way Sudan, and that's what fans say, Sudan they wanted to sit back and defend. But even when you were looking at the phase of things, their organization, their positioning, there was still a lot of space for Egypt to exploit.
Okay.
And it looked like when Egypt are attacking and Salah is not in the picture, then the attack is not supposed to exist. So then they start passing sideways. He has to be the focal point of it. And it was a bit problematic. And it makes it very easy. We saw what happened against Nigeria. And it wasn't like Egypt had even played a competitive game before that one that Nigeria could make reference to leading up to that game. Guavon just slept and woke up and knew that by all means everything will go through Salah. They marked him out of the game and Egypt struggled. And teams are going to do that in a round of 16. They need to try and, you can get the best out of a player without necessarily passing every single ball to him. Liverpool doesn't pass every ball to Salah, but they allow his intelligent movement around the box to be at the end of those chances. And my point is, Egypt have good attackers on their team.
Oh, they do.
You look at Sobi, who's not played enough in this competition. Trezeguet has that ability. Mohamed up front, the number 9, who was played out wide in the game against Nigeria. These are guys who can do the work and allow Salah to thrive and just occupy those spaces in behind them. So if Carlos Queiroz, and that's the thing, we know what he's supposed to do, but we know him. He's not. He's not your.
Carlos Queiroz has never played expansive.
He won't do it. So it is what it is. And for Egyptians, they can only hope that. Honestly, you can cry and cry and cry. It's just like Milo. Milo is never going to play attacking football.
I think they'll sack him after this.
Yeah, they'll sack him. They should sack him because the money they are paying him, the sort of performances is.
Ask Hector Coupe.
Yeah, Hector Coupe. I remember that's 2017. I watched him up close and personal. Let's look at the number side of things. Susu Graham is still on the touch. So Egypt 1, Sudan 0, another 1-0 there. This time not Mo Salah scored, but Mohamed, the other Mohamed in their team. I think they've got about 200 of them. Abdul Moment, 200 Mohameds in their team. Stats-wise, so what was happening in this game?
I think it fits into the narrative of what you said about them playing a bit poorly. It wasn't that impressive because you have 61% of the possession, and you have the Sudanese not being able to master a passing accuracy of above 66. So that means less than 2 out of 3 passes were able to hit their targets. You are dominating them in aerial duels and in physical duels. And you only manage 1 goal. And like I said, it's great to get your shots in the box. They did that very well. They scored their shot that was closest to the goal. But if you look at the shot map, I just don't have that with me right now. That was the only shot that seemed like as close as about 12 yards. That was about from 7 yards out. The rest were just towards the edge of the box, just inside the area.
Okay.
As compared to Nigeria, who I mentioned before, who were getting chances in the 6-yard box, very high quality chances. Egypt were not creating high quality chances. And that's my issue with them right now. Like they said, it seems like if Salah doesn't do anything, they can't create high quality chances. But I think the whole tournament, they really struggled to do that. Okay. And that would be a problem going forward because now you're going to meet better defenses, better teams who are better organized, who can also hurt you. So you might need to do more. You might go behind early, you need to score, and you can't create anything. So I'm very concerned for Egypt. They've got to the second round with their 6 points, granted. But like Fentio said, they haven't played particularly well, and that could be a problem later on. But at the same time, it's a tournament. You don't have to play well. You just have to win. They can still go all the way, but I feel like when they meet another Cameroon, for example, at any point in the tournament, I don't see them winning a game against Cameroon.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Let me read a couple of messages before we go for a break. This is still the AFCON Daily show. Raphael in Tema says, the fact is, even our second string team will win this tournament. How I wish I were in Lagos this time to feel the real footballing atmosphere. And says, we are the Super Eagles. I suspect he's Nigerian.
There's more time to go.
There's more time to go, eh?
Lagos.
All right. This message is from Sierra Leone, and it's from...
where everything is free.
Yeah, Jibril Sinflex. That's the name, Jibril Sinflex. And it says Sierra Leone will finish first in Group E. I like the confidence. Sadov, Airport Residential Area, says, the way we are losing our fear factor is alarming. I suspect he's talking about the Black Stars. We'll take a quick break. We have more for you. This is still the AFCON Daily Show. We haven't looked at the blockbuster game so far. It's Algeria versus Cote d'Ivoire happening later today. All of that and more coming up after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Carr. The gang is here. Susu Graham on the touch. Daniel Kranting here. And Fento Tahiru here as well. Up next is Algeria versus Cote d'Ivoire. Look, you will not find a group game as big as this, as heavy as this in terms of the weight. The other game is between Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea. Jibril Sinflex from Sierra Leone says they'll top the group. They'll top the group. All these games are at 4 p.m. Let's have a look at the other sets of games which will take place at 7. Gambia and Tunisia, that should be a good one. The Tunisians have COVID running through their camp like nobody's business. And then it is Mali versus Mauritania in what I call the Sahelian Derby. The Sahelian Derby, the countries that are dominated a lot by vast desert expanses there. Let's get into the biggest one on the day. And everybody will be keeping an eye on that. How I wish that game were at 7 p.m. I don't know why they didn't put it at 7. Algeria, Cote d'Ivoire should have been 7. Anyway, we'll still enjoy it from 4 p.m. So how did the two teams shape up in terms of the head-to-head? I think they do meet quite often.
Oh, yes. That's one of the things that struck me when I started looking through the data. So they've met pardon my math, 24 times. That's a lot of games. So we just distilled it to the AFCON games to make it easier for you. And even then, it's a fairly balanced rivalry. So in all competitions, Ivory Coast have 8 wins to Algeria's 9 with 7 draws. Then in the AFCON, it's 3 wins each and 2 draws. So they met as early as 68, and the last time they met 3 draws, and they met last time in AFCON 2019. So these are teams that play each other a lot. They have a very strong rivalry. But like we said, Algeria have a slight edge in their rivalry, but the last win at the AFCON went to Ivory Coast. So there's all sorts of things going on. But looking
I thought the last one went in Algeria's favor. This was in 2019.
2015.
2015.
Yes, they drew in 2019.
On penalties.
Yeah,
okay, so that's technically a draw.
It's a draw, exactly.
Yeah. And then in 2010.
That's the famous one.
The Algerian one. Did I ever tell you? So let me give a very interesting story about that game. So a few days earlier,
they knocked out Cote d'Ivoire.
Ghana lost 3-1. You know, Ghana lost good. So this was when I was doing my national service, and one of my juniors was Ivorian called Pifanis. So Pifanis meets me the next day. He finds my desk, right, in the English department, and he comes to write. He takes a sheet of paper and writes, "Big Black Stars, they got beaten by the Elephants." So he staples it onto my desk. All right, that's fine.
As a joke.
Yeah. Cote d'Ivoire 1, Ghana 0. No problem. Then I was watching the game.
3, Ghana 1.
I'm just saying, so he wins, I lose 1-0 to Pifanis, right? So I was watching the game. Cote d'Ivoire, remember Cote d'Ivoire led in that game?
They did.
Then Algeria find 3 goals.
Actually, it was extra time.
Extra time.
It was 1-1 at full time.
And then
extra time.
The Algerians scored twice. I didn't sleep that night because I was so eager for morning to show up. Then I show up in school, find Pifanis' desk, and I have my stuff written already, taped it on his table. Big elephants, small brains.
Oh,
That's what I put on his table, and I left.
That was cold.
That was a good comeback. But yeah, I mean, so these two teams play each other. So at least we've established the fact that they have a very strong thing happening.
But when I look at it, based on the way Algeria have been playing, and it's like they can't find a goal for anything. They could probably sell the whole country. They still won't get a goal the way they've been looking. I'm tipping Algeria or Ivory Coast to win, and at best, a 0-0 draw for Algeria. So I think their tournament is looking like it. But then again, the 2 points can save them depending on the results between Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea, based on the fact that the group we just talked about, the last team had 1. So there's all sorts of things that could save them in that race for the 3rd place.
Imagine.
Yeah, so it's not done and dusted for everyone. There's still a lot of permutations to work out, but we don't need to calculate that. They can do whatever they do in Algiers.
Imagine defending AFCON winners. They are probably looking at an exit or a ticket to the round of 16, possibly with 2 points. That is the side. But friends, on a more serious note, how do Algeria go past a challenge like this, knowing that it's essentially win or go home?
Yeah, and I actually think. In that group, I actually think the most exciting game would be between Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea. 2 teams that have never been to. I mean, Equatorial Guinea, when they hosted the tournament, they made it into the the quarterfinals. Ghana hammered them in that game. But for Sierra Leone, I think that would be a very more or less like a walk-up final for them. But that's not what we're talking about now. As far as this Algeria and Cote d'Ivoire game goes. You see, the thing about the Algeria team and their performance in this tournament is that it's one of the strangest things I've ever seen. Algeria...
The football hasn't gotten bad.
No. Algeria are actually number 1 in this tournament when it comes to average possession, 63%. They have outplayed all their opponents. They have had the most touches in an opposition penalty box than any team in this tournament. They have allowed the fifth number of shots in this tournament, so they are defending well too.
But they aren't scoring.
So it's not. So it's definitely not about the performance. Something just isn't right, and I think that is finishing. And I think in this game that is all they need, because trust me, the Algerians will create the chances. They have shown that they will create the chances. That they don't have a problem creating the chances. In their last game, it was almost inexplicable how they didn't score. In that game against Equatorial Guinea. They had a lot of the ball. They created very good opportunities, but they never got any of them in the back of the net. So I think That is all they need. They just need to start to score. And I think if Algeria get one goal, it could be a very long afternoon for Cote d'Ivoire, because I think that if Algeria get into their rhythm, they are a difficult proposition for any team.
Okay.
And I think what is really needed in this team is for them to just get that initiative. In this competition, they have yet to really get the initiative and get the momentum. And I think what all that is needed is a goal. Once they can get that, I think that half the problems of the team will be solved, because they look like a team that is hungry, angry, and they just need to stop and avoid making mistakes, because I think that is where Cote d'Ivoire will be dangerous, because they've got quality at the back, from Wilfred Zaha to Sebastian Haller to Pepe. That's a lot of quality. You give away too many spaces, they punish you. But I think the key to winning this game today is Algeria scoring first. And they need to score in the first 30 minutes. Otherwise, they start to get nervous, and that's when mistakes start to happen. But it will be strange if they were to go home. But I actually think perhaps that they could come good. But history is not on their side, unfortunately, when it comes to defending champions and struggling like this.
And the Algerians in particular.
Exactly.
Because in 1990, when they won, in 92, they exited at the groups.
Exactly. And that is
they were beating also by Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah, and that's not good at all. So if you're Algerian, this is a nervy time. I was looking at the tweets of my good friend, Mizahid.
He says
he's never been this nervous before an Algeria game before. Not even when they played at the AFCON final in 2019. So you can tell that people are extremely nervous, because you don't want that kind of history.
Yeah.
To not make it out of the group as African champions. Not because your team has gotten bad, just because
something is off.
Exactly. And
let's bring Daniel in. Daniel, you're on the touch screen now. Before we even get into that, if you were Jamel Belmadi, their coach,
yes,
what are you going to tell these gentlemen? Because you've done everything possible to win football games. You are not winning in a tournament that you just won 2 years ago. What do you think he will have to tell them to get them going? And I'm asking this because there might be some players who start feeling nervous and they might panic. Say after 65 minutes, it is still goalless. Panic my setting and all of that. So first question, how does he motivate them for this one? And then we can get into the tactical bit you want to show us.
If I was a head coach, first thing I'd do is to call my team psychologist. First of all, I'll even decrease the intensity of training. Probably give the players an off day before this one. Team psychologists will probably be telling them, you've done nothing wrong in this competition. You've just been rushing chances. Everything is going according to plan. We are carving teams open. We are creating golden opportunities. Our problem is we just can't put the ball in the back of the net. And then you ask them, Slimani, Mahrez, Bounedjah, you guys score goals for fun. It will come. You have nothing to be worried about, because this Ivorian team have shown in their first 2 games that they are not the best defensively. So we will get our chances. We will probably create more chances than them. All we need to do is to just calm down. Just take your time. The goal will come. And if you look at the defensive organization of Algeria, I feel it's better. As a unit, they defend better because of their pressing, eagerness to win the ball back. They are a well-drilled unit. So if I was Algeria, that's what I would do. Obviously, if I was a head coach, I would be panicking, but I would probably tell my players not to panic. Because in this sort of game, anything can happen. But based on what we've seen in their tactical setups, Algeria are supposed to win this game.
Okay.
If they can find their composure and take away their chances. Second thing I'll do is start Benrahma in this game. He has to start. Yeah, he has to start. And when I start Benrahma, what I'll do is to position him in that number 10 role, but he will more or less be playing like a double team with Belali. So what I will do is to play Benrahma just around this side, try and play him as close to Serge Aurier's side as possible.
Okay.
So he double teams with Belali. I would not want Ben Sabani bumping forward because of the threat of Nicolas Pepe. And even on the attack, Serge Aurier also offers a lot for Cote d'Ivoire in an attacking sense. So I will not ask Ben Sabani to be bumping forward too often.
Okay.
What I'll do is to focus my attacking patterns on the left-hand side or on my left-hand side. So that's why I have Belkabla there and Benacer, guys who can break up play. Benacer is good enough to transition, and then I'll focus it on this side. You might say their best player on the pitch is Mahrez and he's on the other side. That's fine. If you overload this side, you can also isolate Mahrez with Conan, and that becomes an interesting prospect for him, one-on-one with Conan. You fancy Mahrez to get away with it. But I think the main weakness from open play in this Ivorian team is their right-hand side, defensively.
Okay.
Pepe doesn't do enough defensive work. So then you see Sangari having to shuffle, especially focus more on the defensive side when in his box-to-box role. So it's going to be extra difficult for him. You would expect him to try and help out Ore. But the technical skill that Benrahma and Belali possess, I will start Benrahma. And somebody will say Brahim is there, Feguli is there. Yes, they have similar skill as Benrahma, but they are not as quick enough as him. He's quick. He has the ability to turn his man and move quickly with the ball. And I think it's a very important thing. I don't know why he doesn't start games. Maybe it's just not. Maybe the coach just doesn't fancy him, but he has enough quality to be able to punish the Ivorians. But if I was Algeria, on the other hand, I'll also be watching how I defend set pieces.
Okay.
And this is actually something I wanted to highlight after the Equatorial Guinea defeat.
Yeah.
But I think this is perfect. When it comes to height difference, the Ivorians are taller and they are physically more imposing. And I've noticed something about Algeria's setup in defending set pieces when it comes to this tournament. They go for a man-marking system.
Okay.
And I am not a fan of man-marking defending. Because when you man-mark, in fact, teams who man-mark should have defending players who are physically dominant and taller than the opposition, so that you can dominate them in the air. If you are not, and the good delivery comes in, it is right now down to your skill in defending and the opposition's strength or skill in attacking. And more often than not, you will lose out if you are the defending team. If you look at their game against Sierra Leone, this was one of Sierra Leone's opportunities. You could see a clear overload on this side. The Sierra Leoneans knew they had the height advantage, so hit the ball to the back post. Let them fancy their physical and strength against each other and see what happens. And this should have been a goal had it been on target. It was a fantastic opportunity for Sierra Leone. Just unfortunately, they were not able to get it. If you see, it's one man to everybody. Now, this Sierra Leonean player has evaded his marker. Slimani is found wanting. He doesn't know who he's marking. You have one-on-one, one-on-one, one-on-one. And it's not the best when you are the defending team, because it becomes extra difficult. But let's fast forward to the goal they conceded against Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah.
And this was another man-marking system. If you see, everybody has their man. Let me get the line so you guys can see perfectly. One man on one man. It's literally a man-marking system. And he has two guys here trying to sort of ward off the danger if it comes to the near post. But then again, it is very difficult when you have these well-drilled set piece for the attacking teams, because this wasn't the first time in the game Equatorial Guinea went with a corner kick which was hit low to the near post. They tried it in the first half. He tried to flick it round. It just didn't work. But in the second half, it worked. If you watched it, once that guy on the near post gets the early flick, you could see he moves straight to the ball. He gets that early flick on. And right now, it's everybody for himself. And it's obviously scattered there for the Algerians. So if they decide to go with this same system, I think this is how they'll concede against Cote d'Ivoire.
And if you go back to the set piece, if you freeze the frame again, the gentleman who's outside the box, the guy who eventually got the goal, you could notice his advantage showed up because his man turned now to look at the commotion that was happening just when I don't know if they can move, if you can move the clip on.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting that you've highlighted him. Now, once the play breaks down and the sequence starts and the corner kick comes in, he has his man looking at him all right. And and I like the fact that you mentioned the man marking bit.
Yeah.
Once the cross comes in and the sequence goes on, and maybe we can move the sequence on, we'll start to see his movement. He's already getting ready to move. He's getting into his area. His man starts to get drawn by what is happening.
And then
that's it. He pops up. So that's a bit of a problem.
So for the Algerians, it's very important. I think not necessarily a full blown out zonal marking system, but they can find a better hybrid between the two. But if they decide to go man marking, look, Sangari is a beast in the air.
Sebastian
Halle. I almost forgot him. You have the centre backs in there who can obviously come in and cause some danger. And Algeria are just not that physical team when it comes to set pieces. So Belmadi really needs to look at this, because I honestly believe, I don't see how Cote d'Ivoire would score Algeria in open play. I just feel they will they'll fancy their chances when it comes to set pieces. And I think that's where even Zaha and Pepe will be instructed. Go down at every touch so we get as many set pieces as possible to be able to punish these guys. Because if you look at the Sierra Leone game, a chunk of their chances, in fact, 2 of Sierra Leone's chances in that first half came through set pieces. And also in the game against Equatorial Guinea, clearly conceded through a set piece.
I think that I disagree with you a little bit on the open play part. If you go back to the tactical screen you had, I think there's one key battle that the Ivorians will win if it happens, if you could just go back to the screen.
Okay.
If you notice Zaha and Atal, Atal likes to bomb forward. He plays sometimes as a wing back, sometimes as a winger. I feel like there's a lot of space behind Atal for Zaha to run into. And I know Atal will want to be supporting Mahrez. I know because Mahrez is cutting inside, so he has to go for it to provide that width. And if Benacer is there, Benacer can't provide that width. I watched him at Milan all the time. So he doesn't provide much width. So once Atal is going for it, Zaha is going to have a lot of space. And like you said, the dribbling and the directness of Zaha will cause a problem. We saw it. He won a penalty, I think, in their last game.
Yeah.
We've seen him in the Premier League time after time. And I don't think Benacer can contain someone like that. Benacer is more of a ball-playing midfielder. I'm not sure who the other midfielder is. I can't quite read this.
Kabla, he's a breaker, was a stopper.
He's a stopper. Maybe if he plays on the right alongside them, he might be able to cover Zaha. But if you have Atal starting, you have Mahrez, and you have Benacer on the right, I think Zaha is going to have an excellent game. I think he's going to just keep getting in behind the defense and cause a lot of trouble. So
I make that statement. I'm not sure Algeria will concede through open play. It's because of their style. When they lose the ball, they press probably better than anybody there. And when you look at Cote d'Ivoire under pressure, they didn't do a very good job against Equatorial Guinea. Was in their first game. Equatorial Guinea were able to pass the ball around them. They find it very difficult to pass the ball and keep the ball in possession. So then, if that is going to happen, then they might as well go for a more direct route and try and get Zaha as quickly as possible. But then it will also be difficult, because I feel Algeria are that sort of team that suffocate the life out of you. So, yes, Zaha will get his opportunities to isolate Atal, but I don't think they will be as glaring or as open enough for him to go all the way and get the goal. I feel the instruction for Zaha and Pepe will be, anytime you get the ball one-on-one, try and take back the strength of Halle and the guys in the box to be able to punish them. Because I genuinely don't see Cote d'Ivoire dominating possession, having the time to pass the ball around and catch Atal out of position when he bumps forward.
Thanks. So, looks like it's a complicated afternoon.
It is.
More because Algerians, they will chase the game. They will go after.
And I fear for them for that.
You think they will be exposed?
Yeah. I mean, they have a wonderful record against the Ivorians, but in this game in particular, I feel the more they chase the game, the more they probably will expose themselves. Because in the other oppositions that they face, the other teams that they played, those teams don't have the same quality as Cote d'Ivoire. And so none of them were able to take advantage of any spaces at all that they left behind.
The Ivorians, they've got quality.
That's the point. And this is one of those games where Alain could easily score a brace. And then suddenly it's all game over. I honestly think it's a hard game to call. You know, like we can do all the tactical analysis and then suggest perhaps that Algeria will. I mean, they're a decent team. They're very good. They're the African champions. And they've shown even in this competition that they play very well. And I insist that the key to them winning this game is to score first.
Score first, okay.
Because I think if they go behind in this game, there's no way for them. They're probably going to concede more.
Well, the Ivorians, they need a point to make it through at least. The Algerians need to win to gather 4 points and see what will happen to them if they will make it through as part of the 4 third-place team. So complicated afternoon for Algeria. But if you are a neutral, that is what you love to see. You want to see top teams go at each other. You want to see top teams play some football. And the high stakes of the situation also make the game absolutely exciting. I don't know. I think we are getting back to Susu. Do you have anything more? Okay, Susu doesn't have any nice things to tell us.
Just returning to position.
After doing the overlap, you are just going back to play left back. All right.
This is switching wings.
Switching wings. All right. I like that. All right. 0550585832. That's the text and WhatsApp number. I'd love to hear from somebody in Algeria. Well, too bad we have to wrap it up. We can't hear. But hopefully, I'm sure our very good friend Mahir Mazahi will have a few things to tell us. But thank you guys. Thank you, friend. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Susu. And thank you out there for watching. It's been another exciting episode of the AFCON Daily on Citi TV. We are back. We are back tomorrow with more, reviewing the group stage and plotting our round of 16 path and looking ahead to more football in Cameroon. My name is Nathan Carr. Thank you for watching the AFCON Daily Show. We are back tomorrow. Have a good one.